Hi, this is Garrison Comstock with Prime Properties Beach Cities. I'm here in Torrance, across the street from Del Amo Mall and the Torrance Marriott, if you know the area, at the law offices of Donald R. Hammond. Don, how you doing today?
Great, thanks, Garrison.
Thanks a lot. Okay, well, I'm here. I know Don. I've known him for a couple years now. One of his major things is DUI attorney, but he also does multiple other things. Do you want to explain your practice to me, Don?
So it's a general criminal defense practice with a heavy focus on DUIs. I'm probably 80% DUIs, and then a mix of other things from there. I'm happy to, I've defended a lot of people on domestic violence charges, drug possession, gun possession, basically whatever lands people in handcuffs, I'm in.
It seems like you really like the process of how things are done and getting into the really nitty-gritty details of that. Is that what got you into being a lawyer in the first place?
Becoming a lawyer was a bit of a long and storied process, actually, for me. I went to Bishop Montgomery High School here locally. I'm a South Bay native. Then I found myself actually decided that I was too cool for school and that I was interested in the law. And I was attending the LA County Sheriff's Academy.
Okay.
So a lot of my sort of fundamental knowledge of police procedures and knowledge of various penal code sections comes from my time having it drilled into my head by instructors at the Sheriff's Academy. That was sort of the basis of it. Then some other things happened in my life, including a very serious motorcycle wreck. Figured out that I had to probably figure out how to make a living with my brains rather than my brawn, and got back into school. Transferred up to Occidental College, where I ended up with a degree in philosophy, and then on to USC for law school. While I was in law school, I participated in a post-conviction justice project, which is where I started doing parole hearings for lifers under the tutelage of two great professors there. I actually represented people at parole hearings while I was still a law student.
Wow.
And it was a fantastic experience.
It's got to be eye-opening.
Yes. What's most eye-opening about it to me is I remember going to visit my first client out at the California Institution for Women. She had been in for 23 years at that point on a second-degree murder. And I sat down at the table with this woman, and it really struck me how there was nothing about her that was dangerous or that would lead me to believe that she had done something a long time ago that landed her in prison for decades.
Yeah.
Like, that's what really struck me the most. Most of my clients are not your career criminals who are on the revolving door of justice and who, we need to be worried about and not, we need to cross the street if they're approaching on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the situation with most of these. And that's one of the things I particularly like about my DUI practice is it's mostly people who, had a couple of drinks and maybe made a bad decision that night. But they're usually people with good jobs who are, parents and coaches and nurses, and they're out there doing good things in society, and maybe they made a bad decision one night. It's really rewarding for me to help these people, get their lives back on track after a bad decision.
Yeah. Nobody wants to get judged by their worst moment.
And none of us deserves that.
Yeah.
That shouldn't necessarily be all that you know about them. As human beings, we are complicated and complex, and there's a lot going on in each of our lives. It just doesn't make sense to put somebody in one little box and think about them as just that one thing, as somebody who has a conviction for whatever it is, especially 20 years later, when they've done everything they possibly can to mitigate that, to get over whatever the underlying issue was, to move on with their lives, and in many cases to help others avoid making similar mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, we need that in society.
Yeah.
We need people who have made mistakes to go out and share their stories and help others not make those mistakes.
Was it always South Bay for you? I mean, you grew up here, obviously, and you went to school locally. Did you ever consider leaving? I mean, what is it about the South Bay that you love so much?
I've visited a lot of different places, and I've just never found any place else where I'd want to live. It's such a vibrant community, and the people, the connections that I have from having lived here all my life is a big part of it. A lot of my friends have moved away, and my family has moved away, but it feels like home. There are times when I think about, it's so much cheaper somewhere else or whatever, but then I'll come up over the crest of 190th at Flagler and catch this awesome view of the ocean and everything. I'm like, this is home. I can't leave this.
It's a fantastic area. You had mentioned that, the top maybe 5 things you do, one of them is definitely expungement. And I had asked him, what is expungement? Will you please explain what expungement is?
Sure. So an expungement is a process where somebody who was convicted of a crime and they're off probation, they fulfilled the terms that they were required to do, we can go back and have that conviction set aside. We enter a plea of not guilty, and the judge dismisses the case. So it cleans up their record so that now on future private sector job applications or things like that, rather than answering, yes, I've been convicted of a crime, they can say, yes, I'll take that job. It's really rewarding for me to see that and to see people who have had some sort of blotches in their past go on and be successful and do great things and become contributing members of society.
Besides expungement and DUI, what are some other things that you might specialize in or do a lot?
Yeah, I do a mixed bag from there. I mean, I've helped people with a lot of domestic violence types of cases, gun possession, drug possession cases. A lot of those kinds, like drug possession cases, a lot of times there are diversion programs available. So it's a matter of knowing what's available and being able to get people into the right programs. Mm-hmm. And that carries over through a lot of my practice, including my DUI practice. If there's some sort of underlying issue going on with somebody, like alcoholism or some other kind of addiction or codependency or anger management issues, I really work hard to connect my clients with the resources they need to get over those issues and get on with their lives in a positive way so that they don't end up in sort of the cycle of the system and the revolving door. To me, it's about treating the person first, and I want to see them actually get the help they need to get their life back on track and overcome whatever that underlying issue is. The byproduct of that often is that I can use the program they're in and the progress they're making as a negotiating tool with the district attorney or with the judge in appropriate cases to improve their situation legally.
Speaking of having things in court and documents in order to show and prove to increase the court case of your clients, I was looking around your office just now and I saw a bunch of police manuals with regards to DUI stops and their procedures and stuff. Can you explain those to me?
Sure. Those are police training manuals.
Okay.
I've actually taken several of those classes. The NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, in corroboration with the International Association of Chiefs of Police, puts out this training curriculum for DUI investigations, field sobriety testing, drug recognition, and all these things these are classes that police take. Well, I've managed to weasel my way in and find people who are retired police instructors or things to teach me these things. So I've actually taken several of the classes that police officers can take. It's important to me to be the most educated person in the room on the topics that we're discussing in court.
Where can people find you online, on social media, on anything like that? Would you like to?
Sure. It's donhammondlaw.com. I think it's facebook.donhammond/donhammondlaw. I have a phone number, 888-DUI-HERO.
888-DUI-HERO, I like that.
And then I think I have DUIHero.com and a couple other websites that sort of work together. But the easy number to remember is 888-DUI-HERO. If you meet me out in the community, I'm the guy with the poker chips.
Guy with the poker chips.
I think I have one on me.
If you see him out there, say hi. Obviously, he's a very nice guy. If you find yourself in handcuffs, give him a call.
Oh, did you say something about handcuffs?
He carries around a pair of handcuffs with him. It shows the DUI chips.
Yeah, there we go. These are my poker chip business cards. It says it's the Don Hammond Criminal Defense Hero, and there's the local number, 323-529-3660. DonHammondLaw.com has my logo on it. I use these as business cards, and I usually have a few on me, so happy to hand them out. And, but don't try to use these at the local casino, because if you do, you'll definitely need me.
Yeah, they'll call him. The number's on the card. Don, it was a fantastic time. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
Thanks for
happy to do it.
today.
Thanks for coming down.